When we compare our prescription to go to that same destination, our prescriptions are different. Each and every one will have slightly different prescription. This really shows that we have different starting point in our religious journey. That's what it reflects. And what's the proof of the pudding? If I'm sincere in the way I want to promote or progress spiritually, I'm going in my direction, and she is sincere and she is progressing in that direction, and so is he. As we progress to our own destination using our own prescription, not his prescription, my own prescription, as we progress, do you know what happens? Like magic. As we go closer to the center, all of us, we feel tremendous affinity for each other. Even though we are using different prescription, we don't feel oh dear, if I start following her prescription, I'll hit the wall. I must carry on my way. And yet, as we move towards the, if you like, our destination, we are serious about our own progress. Forget about others. We want to progress. We feel natural affinity with people from other faiths. Also, because we seem to get closer to the center, we feel closer to each other as well. Even though using different directions. And if we move away from the center, so we make a big hoo-ah, I'm the best and this is it. I'm moving away from the center. I feel at loggerheads with people of other religion as well as people of my own religion. So the idea is rather the fight about which is the best prescription, follow your prescription to its destination. That's the whole idea of pluralism. And I think for this seminary, to absorb this idea, I think it's like a very powerful, this is not a ploy. Please remember, this is not a ploy. This is reality. This is what I said, at the experiential level, the prophets or the mystics hit the same thing. At the moment they try and give expression, their own cultural background will kick in. So when Jesus goes into the wilderness and comes back a chained man, he says, I've seen and encountered the Father in heaven. He's giving expression that suited his own time. When Buddha sits under the Bodhi tree and says, I'm enlightened, he's using a different language to give expression to the same. This is the thing that comes from Hinduism. Pluralism. Many pathways of exploring spirit. It doesn't stop there. This is the conclusion of the Hindu religion. And this touches me. In fact, this is the part that I love the most. He says, this idea of polarizing and thinking about God as a super personality and trying to build a relationship with it is a very powerful tool for spiritual progress. The reason they say is this, think about it. You see, there are certain endearing aspects to all of us. Like when I was asking the child, what do you mean by spirit? You said love and compassion. There are certain endearing aspects to all our characters. Somehow compassion for our near and dear ones seems to flow naturally, and we seem to find it very nice and very warm and very endearing. Similarly, this search for truth or trying to make sense of the world is also very natural for all living things, and we seem to think this is a very powerful thing that expresses our real nature. So is the idea of being empowered. You see, this is the sign of a living thing. You cannot push it about. It is always not in conformity with physical force saying push me about. It is in defiance of it. If you got a single cell living thing and you prod it, it doesn't roll over saying I'm dead. It goes, It goes, ouch, if nothing else. This is the sign of the spirit. It doesn't like to be pushed about. It likes to be empowered. And you know what's the apex, the best example of how the spirit shows itself? We sitting here. Thousands of years ago, human beings were huddling in the caves, shivering, starving, and the thunderbolts were falling. God sending messages and bowing down. And these same human beings, using the intellect, they recognize that we do not like to be pushed about by the forces of nature. We'll harness them, put them in wires, and light up our rooms and heat the rooms up. This is the sign of the spirit. It doesn't like being pushed about. It masters nature. Doesn't allow nature to push it about. It shows its mastery over nature. Spirit. Becoming empowered. These are human, enduring features in human beings. And we all recognize them as something that's very special about all living things. Not only human, all living things. Now you see, what we have done unknowingly, or sometimes knowingly, is that we recognize these are very powerful things that we possess. So what we do is, we exaggerate them. So we are little knowing. Let me think about somebody who's all-knowing. I am little compassionate. Let me project the idea of all compassion. I am little empowered. Let me think of somebody who's fully all-powerful. So I project this marvelous thing that are already within me, project them to the infinite, plonk it on one person. God, you are that. You are all powerful, all loving, all compassionate, all knowing. Oh Lord, you are that. And the way I build relationship with you is I have to become like you. I have to reflect your qualities. I must be more compassionate. This is how I become religious, because I'm trying to build a relationship with this marvelous thing that I call God, and I must reflect His qualities. So the thing that is already trickling out from me, like compassion, I want to open up the taps so that it comes out in torrents. This is religious living. So you see, in this marvelous way, what is already within us, we are trying to seek somewhere outside as a super personality. Nothing wrong. Look, we all use every ploy, and the Prophet did the same. And it's perfectly acceptable. We have to use this ability. Now, I come to the conclusion of the Hindu religion. Despite all the gods and goddesses, despite all this idea of super personality with four arms and all this marvelous stuff, the conclusion of Hindu religion is this. It says what you are searching for in the highest heaven, as this invisible being in an invisible plane, is not sitting there. It's here and now. It's not in the hereafter. It is this spirit that you are personifying that is lighting up every living thing, sparkling in the eyes of everybody you encounter. It is the same spirit, one, shining out through so many eyes. Spirit here and now, shining out through the eyes of every living thing. The most transparent manifestation of the spirit, the clearest vision of the spirit, is humanity. Don't you see? Human beings are the most transparent manifestation of the spirit. It's become very clearly visible in their eyes. Where else will you search for your God if you cannot see Him or her in the eyes of everybody you encounter? Where else will you find Him? This is the conclusion, despite all the gods and goddesses. This is the conclusion. The scriptures of authority, if you study the Upanishads, and maybe you will, some of you, this is the heart of the Upanishads, talking of our essential nature of the spirit. The essential of this creation is the spirit. Underpinning this world is the spirit, bubbling up through all these various forms, looking out through all these eyes, the same spirit becoming visible, becoming manifested. It is this underpinning, this spirit dimension that really is what we are searching for in the guise of a religion or a God. Seeing and serving God in humanity is the conclusion of the Hindu religion. This is called spiritual humanism. This is in stark contrast with the materialistic humanism that is very popular. When I go to schools and colleges and say, look, if a materialist humanist tells you that, look, you are nothing but a lump of carbon that got wound up through accidents of evolution, there is nothing more to you, live with it, just carbon, this lump of carbon got wound up through accidents of evolution. Do you feel comfortable? I say, no. That's much more to me than just a matter. Just some carbon that got wound up. There's more to me. Surely there is more to me. I said, that's precisely what I'm saying. The thing that's winding up this matter is essentially non-matter. It is not an epiphenomena of matter. It's the spirit, my boy. That is your essential nature. The reason why humanity is important, not because it in a way reflects this marvelous accidents of evolution, because something was trying to express itself using these forms. Spirit. This is called spiritual humanism in contrast to materialistic humanism. And whenever I present these ideas at some of the very famous venues, like say, I'm the Hindu tutor at Eton College, and I do assembly on spiritual humanism, the applause I'm generating from these atheists and agnostics is far more than I can get it from the Hindu crowds. They love the idea. They immediately grasp the idea because intuitively, they know this is the right direction. Humanism is right, but qualified with the word spiritual. Not the stodgy materialistic humanism, spiritual human. It appeals to them. I told you, we need two things to relate to the spirit, the heart and the head. And this is the heart. We know intuitively there's much more to us, much more to this reality than meets the eye. This is the conclusion of the Hindu tradition. Now you see, the reason why this is such an important idea is this. It's now telling us that you can make spiritual progress using any of the religious pathways you choose that appeals to you. You may say Buddhist, you can say Jainism or Hinduism or Christianity, all valid pathways. If it appeals to you, go for it, my friend. Don't change your direction because your neighbor is using a different direction. Use your own direction. Follow it to its destination. At the same time, it gives freedom to explore the idea of the spirit, even in a non-religious guise. This is the vastness of this idea. It says you can be spiritual using a religious prescription. If it appeals to you, go for it. That suits your temperament, go for it. You may become spiritual without a reference to a religion. This is a frightening idea. People go, dear, this is too much. If you like music or art or poetry or literature, do you know why you like it? I tell the youngsters. Through that enterprise, remember, it's always a disciplined enterprise. It is not airy-fairy and taking drugs or stuff. You become disciplined at one point, and through every enterprise, enduring human enterprise that is going to focus you, whether it's music and art or literature or poetry or science itself, provided you become one point and focus and look, take this particular enterprise to its conclusion, you'll hit the spirit. Nothing else. The underpinning is spirit. You will come across the spirit. That's why you love music. Because through that enterprise, you get a thrill. You don't know where the thrill comes from. I don't know why I love it. I love it. Because you're touching base with your essential being as a spirit. That's where it flows from. That's why you get a thrill. Go for it. This gives permission for people to make spiritual progress without a reference to a religion and still feel comfortable, not at odds with the rest of humanity. When I present this idea and I say, look, through science, suppose you like physics or you like maths, go to the heart of the matter, understand it in depth. If it doesn't touch you, come and tell me that the whole thing, your proposal is nonsense. You will be hit. It will touch you. It'll really make you jump up and say, got it. This is the whole aim. Becoming disciplined one point in any field will lead you to the same destination. Because that is the underpinning to this reality. It cannot be avoided. The spirit. Now let me just lighten up again in storytelling. Same old story. Sorry about that. Now you see, when you say you are essential the spirit, the spark of the divine, this is the conclusion of Hindu religion. What you are searching for is your essential nature. Sometimes people say, Jay, look, so far we have played ball with you and you are a lovely chap and all that, with colorful clothes and all that, but this is blasphemy, Jay. This is blasphemy. You can't equate us. This is too much. Let me do a story. I used it many a times and it's very powerful. I can't get a better story. A young boy came to the Hinduism class. Boys are the best cheeky chaps to investigate religion. Came to the Hinduism class. He was told, my boy, like it or not, believe it or not, you are the spirit. You are that what you are searching for in the heaven. It is your essential nature, my boy. The little chap was taken aback. He said, I should have joined these classes much earlier. I thought I'm just a goody-goody. He's telling me I'm God. Things are improving for me dramatically here. He went in an arrogant mood. He said, good stuff here. Went home, went to the kitchen, where the Hindu mommy is cooking as usual. Opened the cupboard, took out the most expensive piece of crockery reserved for the special visitor. Waved it in front of his mommy. He said, Mommy, watch. And deliberately dropped it. The plate fell on the floor, broke into 1,000 pieces. The mommy, Hindu mommy, normally brown in color, turned pink. Then she turned red. Then she lifted her arm and came near the boy. And the boy, in his arrogant mood, pulled his hand out of his pocket. Stop, mommy, stop. Mommy, said the boy, do you know who I am? Mommy was like, this cheeky fellow comes, breaks place, like, who am I? She said, who are you? Mommy, said the boy, like it or not, believe it or not, I am God. Now, fortunately, Mommy had been to the Hinduism class too. He said, my boy, my second question to you is, who am I? The boy had learned these lines well. He said, Mommy, like it or not, believe it or not, you too are God. Mommy said, we are making progress. You are baby God, I am mommy God. There's a third lesson in Hinduism that you not attended, which says that whenever baby God goes around the house breaking plates deliberately, mommy God has to do a worship ceremony of the baby God. And the boy was getting worried. He said, what worship? Mommy said, she has to bring the baby God near, turn him round, and smack his bottom. And she mustn't leave a mark, otherwise social service God will come. You see, I use this story in so many places. I can't find a better one, so I'm repeating it. But it's a very powerful story. It is telling us that it's not an arrogant comment to say, I am the spirit. It's not arrogance. In fact, it's the most ego-destroying comment you can ever pass. Because that's not that you are special. Everything you look at is special. Everywhere is special. And the terms of engagement still stay. Mommy will smack the little chap if he misbehaves, gently. But the terms of engagement stay, and yet you spiritualize everybody. So it's not an arrogant comment. It's not an ego-centered. In fact, it's the most ego-destroying comment. Because now I'm no longer here. I'm reflected everywhere. Do you know how powerful this idea is? This forms the foundation of ethics and morality. It says this. It says, do you know why you don't hurt somebody? Because essentially the same thing is percolating through these eyes is percolating through those eyes. Spirit is always singular. The same thing is shining out here, shining out there. So if I hurt him, I'm actually hurting myself. And suppose you lift somebody up, don't even call it charity. It's a demeaning comment. You help yourself. What's the big deal? You see, you will find this, whenever you find a philanthropic person, if you tell him, why are you doing it? It's because you want to get your picture in the newspaper. He said, no, I can't help myself. I just feel like doing it. This is the sign of genuine charity, genuine, if you like, philanthropy idea. You see yourself reflect, you have no choice. When you see a problem in front of your eyes, you must do something about it. You just can't help yourself. And do you know which nation is perhaps gets the highest mark in the world today? Not India. Despite appearances, let me be very blunt. Hindus are very good in theory. They are horrible in practice. In fact, day before yesterday, I was doing a session in Totnes where some young ladies came and said, we want to go to the Himalayas to get the spirit. I said, look ladies, I'm telling you, if you go to the Himalayas, you get diarrhea. Stay here, go to your bedroom, sit cross-legged on your bed and search for the spirit. It's there already. You don't need to go to some caves. It's here, don't you see? Look, I'm telling you very blatantly, and I'm very comfortable to say that. Hindus are very good theoreticians, extremely good theoreticians, extremely poor practitioners, very poor. If you go to modern India, it'll make you shudder. Look, I can't go. Because this difference between have and have not is so vast and so frightening. It's not human, it's not civilized. So I tell the Hindus, I wave my finger and tell them, you lost your religion a long time ago. Your religion is called Bollywood. Dancing naked girls, that's all you know. You lost you lost the love of religion. If you see a problem in front of your eyes and you can't resolve it, you lost the plot. Here is your living God. You can't serve him here. Where else will you serve him? And you want to go and tinkle bells in the temple? Good luck to you. You see, this is honesty. The best place where I find this idea being practiced in the name of a mature democracy, in the name of secularism, this idea of seeing and dignifying humanity, the best place where I see this idea being put into practice is not India. Here. I just have to take my hat off and say, look, what we've been bragging about and preaching, you are putting into practice without the tops and the tails. See? If there's a disabled person in some of these nations, they will hide him as a blemish to the family. Here, they buy him a little scooter and he overtakes everybody else. This is the conclusion, not of the theory, but the practice of spiritual humanism, dignifying humanity. What else can you do? If religion is just learning books and memorizing verses or tinkling bells, God forbid. It is to interact with the greater society. See your living God here. Let me just crack a bit of humor. I go to a lot of schools and little children always catch me out, Mr. Lakhani, because you've got so many gods in Hinduism. Which god do you believe in? I'm very naughty. I look the child in the eye and say, my boy, the God that I believe in is looking at me through those eyes now. And go, oh! This is actually, as I said, the conclusion of the Hindu tradition.